This is Ajahn Tim's Mindful Moments.
In my life I spent a lot of time in nature, living in forests and wild wilderness, and even sitting here in the garden there's a lot of wildlife, and find it a very suitable place, my little seat here for meditation practice. It's never silent, it's always stuff going on, and being involved or living in an active place, I'm not one who is dependent on having everything set just the way I like it, and I know many of us have very clear likes and dislikes, preferences, and or many views about what's suitable, what supports us in meditation practice, and how we're going to make it work. So sitting here this evening, I just brought the camera up, left it here, sat for half an hour or so, and then during which time a memory occurred. Took me back to a time living in Thailand, where living in a small forest with had a lot of snakes there. It was quite wild, well off the beaten tracks. And during the afternoon, when our little chores period was to go and sweep up a bit, take a broom, clear the paths of leaves and things like that, tidy up. And for some time I'd noticed I've been made friends with these little millipedes. Well, actually no, not that little. They're almost as fat as your finger, and they're very smooth, kind of armoured casing with lots of tiny little hairs type legs, and when they curl up, when they kind of hiding, they curl up into a little spiral. They're rather sweet, and I took a real liking to them and a real dislike to the forest ants. The ants, apart from the fact they bite, and when they bite they hurt like hell, but they'd also they gang up on one of these millipedes. One of them would take hold of very little on the millipede that the ant could hold on to, but just around their back legs there was something that an ant could latch onto, and then two ants would hold on to hit him, and then 3 or 4 ants on, and then just build this long chain, and they'd pull the ant down into their nest. I witnessed this a number of times, and I was sweeping up, and my heart would think, oh, poor millipede, you know. Well, I'd tell them they would often put up a really good fight trying to curl around something, and they are pretty strong, but those ants are pretty stunning actually, and they haul this thing. So I took it upon myself from time to time. I'd take my broom and I'd go millipede rescues. I'd sweep up the ants, and they didn't harm them in any way, but they broke the line and the millipede was able to get a getaway, and I feel really pleased with myself. But yeah, you know. So one evening I was getting broom ready to do a little bit more millipede rescue, and the abbot at the monastery came along, and with my limited Thai, he's very careful how he chose his words. Took a lot of trouble to try and communicate with me, and he saw that what I was doing, and he smiled and said, "Oh, Dima, really good." And I thought, well, I didn't see anything very good from my view. And he said, "Samagi," you know, like working together. And he pointed out that all these ants, their ability to work together enabled them to capture this creature, and it would keep the whole community in food for a long time. You know, it was a clever thing to do, and he's really emphasizing this samagi, you know, the kind of ability for these creatures to all work together for a common goal, and how clever they were. And I realized, you know, he had this ability always to see positive things, and probably my tendency was often to look at more negative things, especially at that time. And I realised that, well, that's it. Anything we see, things we see in nature, things we see in the world of politics, in the world of so many views and opinions that we might have, whatever we hold on to does colour that experience. And I stopped and looked at it and studied the ants more closely, and developed a great deal of respect and interest for how they lived and how they worked. And realised that, you know, in any attempts I make to try and interfere or play with it, it's me, my part. I'm adding my thing. But in fact, the forest flows very perfectly without me. And it's just a recognition that we tend, our personalities or characters or culture, we adopt views, and it's very refreshing. I always love it when someone comes along and has a contradictory view than I do, and especially when I have the mindfulness and awareness just to stop and listen to that and consider it from their different point of view, and recognise that that's all it is. It's a view. My view is no more than theirs, and my world gets bigger and wider and more compassionate and maybe a little wiser.